Well, hello, everyone. It's time for Just a Thought, our Saturday discussion that Darrell Watkins, Senior Minister of the Sunshine Cathedral, have each week with Cindy Lippert, who is one of the founders and staff at sagecoachingandcounseling.com. They offer professional coaching and life coaching and spiritual direction and therapeutic counseling. One-stop shopping for all of those needs. They have a staff of people all properly credentialed, and so you can find out more about them and how they can help you at sagecoachingandcounseling.com. Of course, at Sunshine Cathedral, we have daily online programming, so you can catch us on Facebook and YouTube, also Instagram, and then tomorrow at 10:30, Sunday at 10:30 every week, we live stream our second Sunday, our second worship service. We worship at 9 and 10:30. The 10:30 service is live stream, so you can catch us online worship with us. Well, today we are, our thought is something that I'm not sure that I was thinking about that it would be very personally meaningful to me when this day rolled around, but it is. And so this is from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Maharishi Yogesh Yogi was a famous sort of guru, like to the Beatles and to the Beach Boys, and so he was one of those popular television sort of gurus in the 60s and 70s. He is the founder of the Transcendental Meditation Technique. He's the founder of the Natural Law Party, which is a political party in several countries, and that sort of organized around the idea of meditation. That that getting people to meditate will help all of our political and economic woes. Couldn't hurt. He's the founder of Maharishi International University, which is now I think called Maharishi University of Management. It's in Iowa, and and at 90 years old, he died, I think, in year 2008. So that's him, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and he said, "Whatever we put our attention on will grow stronger in our life. Whatever we put our attention on will grow stronger in life." That is, I could give you 20 personal examples right now of how I know that to be true. But Cindy Lippert, why don't you say something about it first?
It's a loaded subject and it can be misused. You've heard me use the term, which I need to trademark, metaphysical. And years ago, when I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, one of my congregants said to one of my practitioners, "What does Cindy think she did to manifest that?" So there you go. And my answer was, "Whose church have you been in?" The idea is, oh, if I think strong enough about it, I'll win the lottery. Okay, so we have to be careful when we say whatever we focus on, that's what we get. The world is full of poverty that you and I, Darrell, can't even begin to imagine. Circumstances beyond anything that in our country especially we would even imagine a person could live through, and yet they do. Okay, so are they thinking poverty? Have they drawn this to themselves? I think that's a dangerous notion. We've got people in political offices that claim that they think in this way, that they believe in this way. So when does it work and when doesn't it work is the bigger question. And why doesn't it work all the time? My husband and I years ago were introduced to film opportunities in New Mexico by a beloved casting director named Faith Hibbs Clark. And we attribute much of the reason that we're in New Mexico today because of her wise counsel. Now, we started thinking about New Mexico. We decided to have a second home in New Mexico, which became our primary. And guess what happened? Now we're living in New Mexico. So that might be an example of what you focus on is what you manifest. We get into trouble when we deny what's going on around us. There was a Unity minister who was a teacher of mine, and this is going back several decades, that while she could barely breathe, was in a state of bronchitis that was about to take her life. I said, should we go to the doctor? You know, what, shouldn't you treat this bronchitis? And she said, what bronchitis? While she's coughing. So when, Darrell, do we draw the line between we have to face the facts, but know the truth? When is that that defining point that we're not, quote, being negative, but we are being realistic? We are looking at what has in fact shown up and honoring, okay, this is what we've got. What do we do from here? Rather than just deny its very existence. Is that folly? Is it stupidity? Does it make us look ridiculous? When do we draw that line? When is the point? When's the tipping point that we say, okay, I don't have any money in the bank and my rent is due today. Do I just deny that? Do I just say, oh, I got plenty of money in the bank? Well, if you write a check to your landlord, it's going to bounce. That's the truth. But do we also say something good is emerging for me now? That to me is the difference. Even though I can't see it, I know change is inevitable and it's happening because I say so.
I when I think of this, whatever we put our attention on will grow stronger in our life. And manifesting things, that's a thing. I mean, we all are creating or drifting toward or calling toward us things all the time. But sometimes you just step in it. You know, I don't know that we created every pile of poop we step in, but we do step in it. And then what? You know, and then you got to figure out: do I throw the shoe away? Do I clean the shoe? Do I just keep walking with the shoe on with the poop on my shoe? That our power is in our choices. Once we find out we've stepped in the poop. But how this is comforting to me is that it reminds me that I have the power to choose my focus. And because I have struggled with depression off and on, mostly on, throughout my life, whenever I have been able to shift my focus from what I'm stressing about, from what I'm overwhelmed with, from what has created a lot of anxiety for me, obviously the more I focus on that, the more anxious I get. And the more I'm able to shift my focus, the better I feel. It doesn't mean that the thing that has triggered me goes away, and it doesn't mean that my condition went away, but I can feel better in an instant, and maybe only for an instant, but that is a precious instant. That I do have the ability to switch my focus or change my focus or alter my focus, because when I am focused on what is making me miserable, I really am more miserable. And when I focus on how I survived the thing that made me miserable, or how there is more to the story than what made me miserable, or how there are ways I can get out of my misery, or how in spite of the misery, there are these other things I can be very grateful for and ought to be grateful for and really am grateful for, that shifts my mood and experience dramatically and almost instantly. I miss magical thinking. I wish I had more magical thinking. I used to, and it's fun and it's comforting until it's devastating. And, and I wish I hadn't lost it. I do. I wish I hadn't lost it. But even without the magic, it is just true that if I can think about something to be hopeful about or grateful for, that feels better than thinking about why everything sucks.
Jim Rosemergy wrote a book years ago called Mystics Have to Pay the Rent. And okay, magical thinking. Yeah, magical thinking is wonderful. When I had cancer, I didn't say, "Oh, I'm dead." The surgeon showed me a picture and said, "You see that? There's cancer in that." And what I heard is there was cancer in that, not in me. So let's get rid of that. And we did. And that was the end of it. And that was 18 years ago. And I'm grateful every day. Do I sit and worry about will it come back? No, I do not. I am proactive with my life and my health, and I try to do the best that I can, that I'm willing to do at any given time. The thing about facing the facts, but knowing the truth, I think is the deciding difference in how our lives work to our advantage. First of all, face the facts. I'm out of work. Face the facts. I've been given some kind of diagnosis. Face the facts. I have depression. Face the facts. The roof is leaking. But know the truth. What is the truth? The truth is that omnipresence, the power that undergirds all of us and everything, is inextricably fused within every cell fiber of whatever it is. And so change is inevitable because we know the universe is always for us, never against us. It's always in a forward motion, a motion of growth. So therefore then, what is happening is to our advantage. And what is happening right now is temporal. When we can hang on to that idea that the thing that's happening in my life right now is miserable, it's uncomfortable, I hate it, I don't want any part of it, it won't last. That's what we hang on to. And when we focus on that, then things begin to change.
When Jesus says, don't worry about tomorrow. There's enough. Tomorrow's full enough of things when we get there. So don't be worrying about it before we get there.
Yeah.
I think he's saying in his culture and in his experience, similar to what 500 years earlier Buddha was saying about detachment, about not being attached to things. Not that you can't enjoy things, not that you can't respond to things, but don't be so attached. If we are attached to outcomes, if we're attached to it has to go my way, then we're going to be miserable when it doesn't. And if we are attached to identifying ourselves with our misery, then we're not going to see the opportunities to get out of it when they present themselves. So attachment really is it causes a lot of suffering. And so when I'm attached to my depression, when I identify with it, when I wallow in it, then I'm inviting it to stay. I'm attaching myself to it, and then I'm stuck in it. But if I have to have this, that, and the other thing go my way to not be depressed, well, that's a setup too, because I can't control the world, and things aren't always going to go my way. I am always in control of how I respond. And for some reason, some people get that and they live that, and God bless them. I have to relearn it almost every day. Yeah. I have a choice. I can make a different choice. This is what is, and I can respond in a way that was going to make me feel better and renew my hope. And sure enough, when I feel better, I do better. And when I do better, I create better. Yes, I do manifest, but I didn't manifest every pile of poop I stepped in. But once I've stepped in it, I do need to manifest a paper towel or another pair of sneakers or a garden hose. And sometimes manifesting is as simple as looking around and finding what's been there the whole time. Mm-hmm. So it's this sort of mystical Eastern. Sometimes I think of it, that's very mystical, and let me sit cross-legged and really absorb it. And other times it just seems like this just makes sense. Just if I have a laser focus on a thing, that is going to seem stronger and realer and more present to me. And so the Apostle Paul said, keep your mind on what is good, what is positive, what is praiseworthy, what is of good report. Think on these things because it feels better. And because where you're focused, that's where you tend to go. Every Every golfer will tell you the importance of keeping your eye on the ball. Every bowler will tell you the importance of keeping your eyes on the pins of where you want the ball to go. Where our focus is has great influence, if not determination, certainly influence of the direction we're going to go in. You've given a racing car example of that. You know, where you're looking at, that's where you're steering the car.
Well, Catherine Ponder, let's not forget when she got out of her car that had been totaled, she said, "I can hardly wait to see the blessing that comes from this." So while she was crying.
Yeah.
So she knew this would not last forever. We hate
Probably
bad
had
news.
whiplash.
Oh my God.
Broken glass everywhere.
Yeah.
Without denying that this experience happened, not really identifying with the experience.
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah. We hate bad news. We hate bad times. We don't like illness. We don't like depression. We want everybody to be happy and safe and all of that. But the truth is, you know, and I learned this as a kid, you can't know happy without sad. You know, we live a life in contrast, and we think the bad times will never end. We think the good times won't last. And so, you know, our thinking is screwed up. We need to enjoy every minute as it comes for as long as it comes. But to try and do what you and I did with Roy Eugene Davis, and that is learn meditation. Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda's last living disciple, taught us. And he said to me, I said, "Roy, I want to learn at your feet. I want to learn how to meditate." He said, "Oh, I can show you in 5 minutes." I was so shocked. This is Roy Eugene Davis. And he said, "You have to understand, Joel Goldsmith could just go out, boom. He didn't have to sit in a lotus position. He didn't have to chant. He didn't have to do anything. He decided he'd meditate, and he did." And I said, "That's me. When I decide I'm going to meditate, I just meditate." So it was very freeing to know from somebody of Roy's exalted caliber that you know, we all are able to shift our consciousness in the way that we can, and in the way that we do. And the point is to always seek the best and the highest in whatever situation.
Maharishi was also known as the giggling guru, because he would go to talk shows. I mean, and he would laugh a lot. I don't know if people were just, if he wasn't used to being around a lot of humor and talk show hosts were funny. I don't know, but he just would laugh a lot, and so people would call him the giggling guru. Well, we know that, you know, laughter releases endorphins. I think it was Norman Cousins that said multiple belly laughs a day helped heal him, and he was a medical doctor, and that's what helped heal him of crippling arthritis. I forget what he watched. I think it was I Love Lucy reruns. He would just watch them all day and just laugh hysterically, and it was very effective pain management for him. But what is that? That's a shift in consciousness. Like, if I can't be miserable and laugh at the same time. I can't be focused on what's making me sad or angry or scared and be experiencing joy and humor in the same second. So every time we laugh, we're focusing on a joyful thing. And then that joy becomes stronger in that moment. And everything is interpretive. Like, even if I'm crying, that can be a release too. Am I focused on misery, or am I allowing myself to experience what is going to relieve the misery? Tears are expressive. Tears also release something. And emotional tears are different than other kinds of tears that they've measured. That the tears from chopping an onion does not have the physiological benefit of just a good cathartic cry. Like, you know, something that really moves you in a touching movie, that cry is actually more healing than just, you know, onions making your eyes water. So yeah, that focus, whether we're focusing on releasing or focusing on experiencing or focusing on embracing, what we focus on we're moving toward, or we're calling to us, or we're creating. And so it is true for me that what we are focused on becomes stronger in our experience. I'm not interested in blaming how it got there to begin with, but now that it's here, if it's something good, how can I amplify it? And if it's something bad, how can I navigate it? How can I get around it, or fix it, or survive it, or get over it, or something? And that's where our power is, that we do have the choice. I will choose my very next thought, and that thought will have some sort of feeling. And so I can choose a different thought. I can choose a better thought. And there are, if I'm in the hospital bed in a lot of pain, it's harder then to focus on anything other than this pain that's constant. Or if something really, really terrible has happened and I'm just so super sad about it, that seems overwhelming. That seems ubiquitous in that moment. And yet, I mean, I have chuckled at funerals, especially if something at the funeral brought up a joyful memory. At my dad's funeral, before the service, the body's laid out, and there's a big portrait of him at the head of the coffin, and I'm holding my niece, and there's corpse dad, with makeup and all of that, and then there's portrait dad that he posed for, and look very good. And so I said to my little niece, I said, well, he sure looks different there than there, doesn't he? And she said, yeah, there he's dead. And I laughed. And it was, in a very sad day, it was a precious moment. I mean, thank God for that silly moment of relief. And she wasn't trying to be funny. She just thinks that way anyway. But well, yeah, he looks better there. There he's dead.
I laughed and cried all through my grandfather's funeral. And I was laughing one minute, crying the next. And I know everybody thought I was crazy. He was my buddy. He was my true father figure. He was everything to me. And I would like to think that he would have gotten a big kick out of the fact that everything was funny, because it was so sad. But this idea of focusing, my husband and I made a decision to start training as actors 6 years ago. And here we are, union actors. And it's something that we focused on. So, decide, make a decision. What is it you want for your one precious life that we know about? There may be others, but we know about this one. So what will you do with that which is laid before you this day?
Yeah. If there are multiple lives, we still got to live them one at a time.
Yeah.
So this is the one.
You may as well do something. We try the best to our ability to encourage young people, do something you love, because then you'll never work a day in your life.
It's true. Well, all right. Well, let's end the way we started. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the giggling guru. That's what I want to be. I want to be the giggling guru.
You are. You already are.
I already am.
You've got a great giggle.
He said, whatever we put our attention on will grow stronger in our life. Whatever we put our attention on will grow stronger in our life. So let's put attention on some fun, good stuff today. We deserve it. It's just a thought, but I think it's a good one. Thanks, Cindy Lippert.